Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vishnu Sahasranama, name 513. Dasarhah. Are you familiar with that name? Heard that name before? Can you remember? You're thinking of something, Dasagriva. Ravana is known as Dasagriva, who had 10 heads. But this is not, there's nothing to do with 10, it's Dasarhah, not Dash, as in Dashavata, or Dasagriva. If you read carefully, you'll see this name comes up. In Krishna book, for instance, it's a name. Oh, I was saying Satangula. It's Dashangula in the Purusha Sukta. Yeah, 10 fingers. Yeah. This is a name for Krishna and Balaram and anyone else who appears in the dynasty of Dasarhah, which was the name of one of the forefathers. If you see, toward the end of the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, you'll find the dynasties of the Chandra Vangsha. First the Surya Vangsha, then the Chandra Vangsha is described. That is one of the characteristics of a Purana and a Mahapurana. The Vangsha Anucharit, the description of the great kings in a dynasty. So the Surya Vangsha is described with the main person in Surya Vangsha is Ramachandra Bhagavan. Ikshvaku is there also, but the main person is Ramachandra. So his history is given, but Shukadev says to Parikshit, what's that water flowing? Some overflow or something? Anyway, Shuka says to Parikshit, you've already heard this many times, so I'll just tell you briefly. So it just covers about 3 chapters, the pastimes of Rama in the Bhagavatam. And then he comes on to the Chandra Vangsha and comes to the point of Krishna, who is also known as Dasarhah because he appears in the dynasty, but actually all the Yadavas. Yeah, there are so many Yadavas here in Tamil Nadu. Whoops, what happened? I think the main power went off. So you can tell them, look, you're described here, your name is Dasarhah. So that's the meaning that we come across in the Bhagavatam mostly. That you'll find this name in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it specifically means one who appeared in the dynasty of King Dasarhah. So that means there are so many Yadavas, and before the but in relationship to Narayana, this is after all Vishnu Sahasranama, that means Krishna and Balaram, because they are Vishnu Tattva. And that's the meaning which, unsurprisingly, Baladev Vidyabhushan gives. May I just have a quick look at that? Yeah. Now there are other meanings also. Dashri, the root dashri. Dashri dane means to give away, so it means a gift. And arha means deserving. Just like there's a word used in Hindi, arhata, which is similar to yogyata or yogya. It means one who is fit for that. So Krishna is the right person to give things to. Although actually we can't really give a gift to Krishna because everything belongs to him. But nevertheless, he says in Bhagavad Gita, Patrang pushpang palang toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadahang bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmana. If you offer me a leaf of flower, leaf or water, with bhakti, anyone who offers it, with bhakti and also prayatatmana, properly following all the rules and regulations for doing so, then Krishna says, I will accept it. So Krishna gives everything, but he accepts it. But everything is meant to be offered to him. That's the whole purpose of yajna. Means offering back to he who gives, offering everything to he who gives everything. And in the yajna, the main items offered, well, there are different kinds of yajna. There may be horse may be offered, a cow may be offered, a human may be offered. As also described in the Bhagavatam, the Narabali. But generally that's grains and ghee are offered. So grains means that's the result of a whole cycle of plowing the land. Well, first of all, the cows should graze on the land, and that fertilizes it, makes it auspicious. And then the land is plowed, then the seeds are planted, then they're cultivated, the weeds are taken out, then harvested, and then winnowed, and then they can be offered for sacrifice. So it's the end of a long process of many people cooperating together. And similarly, ghee, by looking after the cows, one gets milk. From milk, yogurt is made, and then the ghee is, so the ghee is the essence of the all that is good. So in this way, the yajna means to offer, generally in the fire, the best of everything, or the result of the fruition of the work of the whole society. So that should be offered to Krishna as a matter of gratefulness. And Srila Prabhupada often gave the example that the father gives everything to the child. The child doesn't have any possession of his own, but still the child may sometimes want to give a gift to the father. Even though the child can't give anything of value and everything's given to him by the father, even the child is eating and something, oh, this is very nice, you taste it also. So something that we like, we offer to Krishna. And he appreciates that. It's an offering of love. So everything should, and gifts is one thing, we give something, but the real thing is to give our very self. Atma samarpana. Krishnate kila cheshta. Everything that we do for the sake of Krishna. To give our very self. Just like Shibi is famous for when the hawk came to snatch the pigeon, to eat the pigeon, and the pigeon took shelter of Shibi, and Shibi gave protection, but the hawk said, well, you're giving protection to the pigeon, but that's my food. So Shibi said that, okay, I'll give you my own flesh, the same weight as the pigeon. So he cut off his own flesh and put it on a weighing scale. But it wasn't heavy enough, so he cut more and more and more, and eventually he had to go on the scale, put his whole body. You take the whole body. He's willing to give himself, his whole self. Of course, the hawk and the pigeon were demigods, Indra and one other, who I can't remember, who were testing him. So the point, willing to give his own self. So the best gift we can give to Krishna is to give ourself. We belong to him. To think that I belong to myself is a misconception. So he is the proper... We can give ourselves to some cause. We can give ourselves to some political cause, national cause, family cause. We can give ourselves this... generally when some big political... Just now Jayalalitha died, so some people, they committed suicide. Life is not worth living without her, some feeling like that. But giving ourselves for some... This is the point. Krishna is the proper person to give to. If you give your life to some politician, you won't get benefited. You might get benefited as long as they're alive. You might get some material benefit, but generally the politicians, they're very sinful people. So you share in... If you take benefits from them, you share in the sinful result. But if we give to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada said, just give this one life to Krishna, you will not be the loser. So many lifetimes we have given to friends, family, home, country, and the result is simply punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Then we get another birth to again give ourselves to some other mother, father, children, family, country. But if we give ourselves to Krishna, then that is the proper place. Our charitable spirit is properly given to Krishna. That's why this whole, this Daridra Narayan philosophy is a misnomer, because Narayana is Lakshmipati, he's the most wealthy of all. To say that the poor man is Narayana and I can serve him means that we place ourselves in a position above him. So giving to the poor man, as Srila Prabhupada quoted once to some Christian priests in America who were talking about helping the poor, and Prabhupada quoted Jesus, and Jesus said that the poor will always be with us. There will always be poor people. That's the way of karma. Srila Prabhupada said, when I first went to America, I was surprised to see in India we're used to seeing beggars, but he was surprised to see them in America, where there's so much wealth. Actually in India there's also so much wealth. There's no real need for beggars. But it's just by the laws of karma. Even if you try to lift some people up, they'll remain down. They don't even want to. They prefer to remain as a derelict, an alcoholic in the streets. They feel, in their perverse way, they feel more comfortable like that than to live comfortably. Srila Prabhupada said about the hippies, you see, they're all from good families, but by choice they've become beggars on the street. So, if we want to give, if we think we have something to give, the best person to give to is to Krishna. And then we will get that gift will not simply be offered. It's not offering Maya into Maya and the result is Maya. The thought that I can help someone is Maya. The idea that there are people to be helped is Maya, and the result is Maya. Everyone is to be helped, but the real help is to give them the knowledge by which they become free from repeated birth and death, knowledge of their relationship with Krishna. So if we offer to Krishna everything that, if we're going to give, then give to Krishna, and the result, we'll get an eternal result, an eternally beneficial result. Whereas if we give something on a material platform, that may be temporarily beneficial, but that will also only be superficially beneficial. It's ultimately no real good. If someone has to suffer due to their previous karmic activities, we can't actually help them. And certainly to feed someone, and then again they get hungry, and again they get born, repeated birth and death. So the best gift to give is to give people the knowledge by which they can become free from birth and death and re-establish their eternal relationship with Krishna. And it's also very pleasing to the soul to give to Krishna. It may be pleasing to one's sense of prestige to give to people who are in need of charity. People they like to give charity, but the reason they give it in many cases is to boost their own prestige. It's not that they really care for others, but they want to be seen as caring for others. They make lots of money by exploiting people, and then they want to give a portion of that money to show that they're actually good people, and they give the money to building some hospital or school or something like that. And so they get a reputation. Oh, actually they like people, they're doing good for people, and they usually get tax breaks for doing so also. So it's not a lot of the charity. It's all very calculated, but it makes them look, and it boosts their ego. You see, I'm a very good person. I'm doing a lot of good for others, and it makes one feel superior. I'm better than others, therefore I'm giving. But the devotional attitude is to understand, I don't have anything, but I have this sense of thinking that I have something. So whatever God has given to me, let me use it in His service. That is the proper use of giving gifts. Now another meaning on this gift line, or that which is giving, is that he is the right person to be possessed as a gift. We may say, well, how can you accept Krishna as a gift? Well, he gives himself to his devotees. He feels as if he is the property of his devotees. Aham bhakta paradhino nahi aswatantra iva dvija. He says to Durvasa, who was a great yogi and a great Brahmin, but not a great devotee, he said that I'm not independent. Although the very meaning of Bhagavan is that he's independent. Swarat, in the beginning of Bhagavatam, the word is given. Janmadhyasya yaton vyad itaratas chatesh vabhigna swarat. It's one of the essential qualities of the Supreme. He's independent, but he says, I am subordinate to my devotees. So he gives himself. If we want to have the sense of owning anything, the sense of Krishna is mine, this mamata is a word used for affection, the sense of it is mine. But it's also used the sense of mamata, that I own something. That is also a symptom of illusion, of egoism, to think that something belongs to me. But this mamata in relation to Krishna is very nourishing for our devotional life. Of course, one who maintains any sense of mamata, or mamta as it's said in Hindi, it's a common girl's name in North India. I don't think here in the South, no. Mamta is a common North Indian girl's name. If one maintains any material mamta, then we can't have Krishna. You can't have both. You can't be in Maya and not in Maya at the same time. To think that Krishna is mine, it's a very high level of Krishna consciousness. where one has no material conceptions whatsoever, but the devotee, just like Nanda, Yashoda, they think Krishna is our son. So when one is on a very high level, one can think like that. Even in the very beginning stages, one should think, I am Krishna's. One should not think, I am Krishna. I am Krishna's. And Krishna gives himself to the devotee. Ishvaresva bhav bhaktaya naloy aparad alpo sheva bahumane atta parjanto prasad. It is the nature of the Supreme Lord that He does not consider the offenses of His devotees, but if they do a little service, He considers it to be very great, and in return He gives mercy to the extent of giving His very self. So if we want to own anything, we should aspire to own Krishna, which is impossible. It's ontologically impossible, but by the grace of Bhakti Shakti, Krishna's Yoga Maya, that is not only possible but desired by Krishna. Krishna desires to give himself to his devotee. We should think to give ourselves to Krishna, and Krishna in reciprocation will give himself to the devotees. Krishna gives he'll give himself, or whatever we get, it's all by the mercy of Krishna, directly or indirectly. If one gets a very high post in the material world, or gets lots of money, that's all the mercy of Krishna. If one has nothing also, if he takes everything away, it's also the mercy of devotees should see that's the mercy of Krishna. In material consciousness, people think, whatever good things I do, that's all by my own power. And if anything goes wrong, Jato dosh nanda gosh, in Bengali it's said. If anything goes wrong, blame it on God. It's all His fault. But we should understand, if He gives or if He takes, it's all His mercy. The commentator, the Sri Vaishnava commentator, gives the example of he's giving his gift to the devotees. Mohini Avatar gave nectar, gave it to the devotees, not to the demons. Okay, Hare Krishna. I'll finish there. Yeah.
Mentioned about giving to Krishna.
Yeah.
And giving whatever we like very much to Krishna.
Yeah.
There's also a platform of giving what Krishna likes. And sometimes it's difficult to distinguish between
giving what that's stated that we should give. If we think we have something very valuable or something that's very dear to us, we can give it to Krishna. But we should know what Krishna wants also. So giving something very valuable that we like, just like, for instance, is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when Gopal, the deity, came to Katak, the wife of the king wanted to give him some very valuable nose ring. So that was something dear to her, something very valuable. And it's also Krishna likes that kind of thing. So we should give something that's pleasing, something that is dear to us, or that we consider very valuable. But we should also know what Krishna wants, not that. Just like in some religious processes, in Islam for Eid, they may kill a ram, a sheep, cow, and the idea is, or a camel, And the idea is, it should be, if it's a camel, if you're going to sacrifice a camel, it should be a camel that's very dear to you, because that's a sense of sacrifice. That also we find both in the Bible and the Quran. There's sacrifice. Abraham had to sacrifice a son, according to the Jewish Bible. They don't call it the Bible. Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, and in the Islamic, Ishmael. So the idea, you sacrifice, you kill and offer to God something that's very dear to you. That's why when but nowadays people, they buy, I've seen in Bangladesh, they bring the cows out, driven over the border from India. They don't want to, there's all this talk about closing the border. They're never going to close the border, because there's a huge multi-crore business of cow smuggling going over the border to Bangladesh. So they particularly, when they're selling the bull, they'll say, oh, you see, it's a very beautiful bull, very good, not an old worn out one, because that's considered better, something that's very good and nice. You kill that one. So this is religion in tamaguna. It's very much, it's in the mode of ignorance. The idea that you sacrifice something that's very dear to you, therefore you kill some camel that you like best. Then it will come, then you kill your own child. It's very dear to you. It's religion in the mode of ignorance. Krishna is not pleased by animal sacrifices. That's also given in the Vedic process. Animal sacrifices. Some people, including Madhvacharya, they say that whenever in Shastra it's stated to sacrifice an animal, it means you should make a model of that animal out of flour, Flour, out of grains paste. Although it's very clear from Shastra that actual animals were used, just like in the Daksha Yagya. The actual animals were used there. And that's why in Kali Yuga, Ashvamedham, Gavalam, Yam, these are the two out of the 5 processes which are banned in Kali Yuga. These 2 are mentioned first. Horse sacrifice and cow sacrifice. If it was only made out of dough, then there wouldn't be there shouldn't be much objection. Interestingly, sati is not one of the 5 things that's banned. Although it's now banned by the government of India, and probably a good thing too. It was banned even in the British time, way back.